Welcome to Conference Crunch on the 4 Star Sports Media Network. This fast-paced deep dive into college athletics covers it all. Now, your host, Wes Pruitt.
What's going on, folks? Wes Pruitt, 4 Star Sports Media. You are watching and listening, as we are live right now, on our X and YouTube page. It's week 10. This is Conference Crunch, the fastest breakdown of college athletics you'll find, as we typically run about 40 minutes. But welcome to the show. Got John Sturdivant in the middle there. Got Blake Hogue over there on the right. Appreciate everyone tuning in. As you can see on screen, as we start the show, it's What's on Tap, poured up by Athletic Brewing. If you're looking for an incredible non-alcoholic beverage, matter of fact, I was at a wedding last night, spoke with a guy that I know, and he was telling me, man, my fridge is stocked with nothing but Athletic, and that's all I drink. And I just told him, I said, man, you're making a good choice. It's incredible. You don't get the, you don't get drunk. Just to be straight up brutally honest with you, you don't get drunk. You can sip on these things. They're good. They've got great flavor. But they present What's on Tap. And What's on Tap is what today's show is going to bring. We're going to start with some hot topics. Then we'll get over to the Southwest Airlines scoreboard as we take a flight around the nation and look at games from each conference. Then we're going to go over and we're going to get on the coaching carousel as we take a couple of spins around the carousel, as that's always a fun time of year. And we go over to the SeatGeek Sports Moment of the Week, where we look at a hot ticket or a hot moment or a hot something we saw across the nation. And then to close the show, we'll get into the Fanatics Final Play as we get into some maybe controversial topics about some interim coaches and how possibly we've forgotten some things, just to be honest with you. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. John, Blake, let me get to you guys now. John, what is your opening thoughts as we get the show started? We got some hot topics. We know Hugh Freeze is no longer at Auburn. A lot of money was paid to him, $15 million. Auburn said, "Look, we're not even worried about negotiating. Just here's $15 million. Go play golf." By the way, if you Google Hugh Freeze's name, the first picture that pops up is him playing golf, which is just odd to me. But John, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing that comes to mind this past weekend to me is a lot of teams avoided some trap games on their schedule. And also some teams are still trying to find a running game that they have had great success in the first few weeks of the season. And now they're slowly getting away from the running game and just relying on the pass a lot more in general. Last 4 or 5 games on the schedule, per se. So those are my two main things that happened over the weekend.
All right, Blake, what about you?
Yeah, kind of piggyback off what John said. There's a lot of trap games this weekend, and a lot of teams, survive that and get to advance into the next week. With there's some more trap games next week. I just think of the Oklahoma Tennessee game. That's kind of like a college football playoff elimination game, so to speak. So, but yeah, it was a weird weekend because I couldn't really watch any games thanks to YouTube TV. But I managed. I managed. I watched highlights and listened to the radio and kept up with Twitter. And John was messaging me, "Hey, did you see this?" I'm like, you know what? I did not. Okay, so describe what happened.
Well, first of all, Blake, since you got YouTube TV, you can always go to YouTube and do a search for that game and watch it on a bootleg edition.
See, that's what they want you to do, John. And okay, they want you to find other ways. That way, that's what they want you to do. And I'm not, and I'm not subscribing to any more apps that I do not need.
Now, to Blake's point, the reason I brought up the running game, Wes, is because he stole one of my games I was going to bring up for the running game because Tennessee had trouble running the football, and they have not been the same running the football ever since that Mississippi State scare that they had down the Starkville, where Tennessee has not run the ball good at all the last couple of games regarding that point of view. And I think Tennessee's got to go back to where Joey Aguilar's at best, just throwing the football right now, 300 yards passing per game. And I think that's what Tennessee might stick with going forward.
It's a good point. It's a good point. And Blake, I've got Hulu Live. I haven't had any issues yet with anything. Um, plus, I can watch all my ESPN stuff. Now, I will say this: a lot of times, if I want to specifically watch college football, I will go to the ESPN app. But if I want to watch just obviously like regular TV, right? Like for example, tonight I caught up on SNL, right? Um, Hulu Live. I don't have any problems. The only thing is like if you move around, like say you work a decent amount away from your home, maybe a different city, different zip code per se. You got to be careful logging on your phone and watching and doing stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, man, Hulu Live has been perfectly fine. By the way, guys, Hugh Freeze's buyout can probably buy the entire Kentucky roster twice. I mean, if you really want to sit back and think about it, but I mean, interim tags are being printed out left and right now. I mean, these bad boys, I mean, they're printing them out like Memphis, National Guard's giving out tickets, John. Um, it's crazy to me how they continue to do this. All right, let's jump over to the Southwest Airlines. You know what? Let's wait on that. Let's wait on that. Let's go over to the coaching graveyard as sadly, John, this is now seemingly the 10th straight week that we've seen a head coach fired in college football. Hugh Freeze was the latest today. So just for a quick second, I'd like to take a moment of silence for our guy Hugh. All right, and that horn said that moment of silence is over with. All right, so Hugh Freeze let go at Auburn. Are we shocked? Not really. Now, if you're watching right now, you may see an additional little tombstone in the graveyard that possibly has not been named official yet. But hey, here we are. John, I'll start with you, man. You know Hugh. You know him from his high school days, back in the day. What's your thoughts on this? I mean, he struggled at Auburn. It just he never found that quarterback, and he really tried to hitch his wagon to the guy this year, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work. And also, I mean, I don't know who. I mean, they named DJ Durkin. We're going to talk about that in a minute too. But John, what's your thoughts on Hugh being let go today down in the Plains?
Well, first of all, the AD John Cohen, he thought he was going to get the same Hugh Freeze that did well at Ole Miss, same Hugh Freeze that did well at Liberty, where they passed and did pretty well at Liberty. But I think John Cohen, the AD at Auburn, basically swung at a high fastball and struck out swinging on this one. And I really thought that looking back at it, man, 6-16 the SEC. Just don't put it these days and age in the SEC. Yeah, like you said, he didn't have no quarterback play. That might have been the difference, but let's be real, man. Like 3 points at home against a not so great Kentucky team. That's why you got fired. Bottom line.
Well, I mean, he was brutally honest after the game. Somebody directly asked him, and you gotta love people that just ask gotcha questions. They're my favorite people in the media, honestly. Them and the people that write articles as with intel on head coaching searches that They just write it like 6 of them a day, and they just switch it up every one. But it's Intel anyway. Um, I love these gotcha questions, man, because this guy directly asked Hugh Freeze, "Hey, coach, how do you feel about the fans chanting 'Fire Hugh' at the end of the game?" And he straight up said, "Hey, you know, I may very well be fired." Him and Dabo had very similar press conferences this week, and that's another guy I think feeling some pressure and feeling some heat on the seat, and that is Dabo Swinney. John or Blake, sorry. I know, I know you're not an Auburn. No Arkansas fan is, but what's your thoughts on Hugh
I
being
think
fired?
it's I think it's time Auburn takes a look in the mirror. Because maybe it's not the coaches you're hiring, maybe it's you, Auburn. Because you look at Hugh Freeze, he came from Liberty, successful. Come to Auburn, not very good. Brian Harson, he leaves Auburn, he's doing well at Cal. So maybe, just maybe, it's an Auburn issue and not a coaching issue. And you should have hired Cadillac Williams, if we're being honest.
Or, and stay with me here, guys, you can go hire Butch Jones because that's the trend this team's taking. You had Arkansas State, Hugh Freeze, you hire him at Auburn. It's a trend here, guys. Brian Harson, go back and look. Could Butch be the next guy on the Plains? No, I don't think so. But if you're looking at trends, and that's a weird trend. To your point, Blake, I mean, there's so many, and we're going to talk about it in just a second, but there's so many jobs open that, I mean, a lot of these jobs are just becoming more and more and more and more drowned out. And it really kind of, I mean, honestly, it really kind of sucks because a lot of these programs are not bad programs. But as we jump over to the coaching carousel segment, John, I'll start with you, man. Or I'm sorry, Blake. I'll
Mhm.
stay with you here. You look at the list of jobs. There's now 13 positions open across college football. You look at FBA. You look at P4 and Group of Five, whatever the hell that shit means. Obviously, folks, I know what it means. Let's not be stupid. But when you look at these jobs, if you were a head coach, okay, let's say you're on the coaching carousel. You're riding that horse right there. You're riding the horse around the carousel. Music's playing, horses going up and down. Yippee ki yay! What's your top 5 jobs in college football right now?
All right. Now, my list is number one is Florida, just because of the talent pool that's available to you and the resources you have. I know there's some high quality boosters in NIL, all that. AD's pretty good there. Just talent and you know just the location and all that. I would do Florida one. The reason LSU is two for me is because the governor is involved for some reason. So that's just more added pressure to your job. Also, right now there's no athletic director, so they got to find an athletic director before they find a coach. Number three is going to be a surprise to some people, and that's Oklahoma State due to the conference that they are in. You could hire a coach and get a heck of a transfer portal class in, and potentially win that conference and be in the college football playoffs within first or second year. Number four is Virginia Tech, and then number five, I just have to throw Arkansas in there because why not?
Okay, okay. I like that. I like that. John, what's your top 5, man? If Sturd was a coach, and he ain't talking about no Sturds turds here. If Sturd was a coach, What's his top 5?
Man, Blake, I like that list. I'm gonna do different. At first, I kind of had something similar to that, but I'm gonna do something different. I got Penn State 1 because I think that's still a good job in the Big Ten. As long as you still can win the big game, per se, Michigan, Oregon, just to name those a few. And plus, I think the Northeast recruiting is a little bit still up there. Also, I think they got a lot of talent up there. 2, I'm gonna go with. I kind of agree with Blake on this. LSU is probably my number 2. I think you still got a lot of talent in the Southeast. I'll go Florida 3 just because right now there is maybe a chance maybe Mike Norvell can maybe save his job, although there is still talks that he might be getting let go at the end of the year. And then, of course, you still recruiting against the Miami, the Florida States of the world too. So, plus, you got like you said, West last week, I believe it was, they got to recruit nationally for the state of instead of just the state of Florida. If you're in the state of Florida, and then 4, I'll go with Oklahoma State, like Blake said, the Big 12. You'll be the conference itself speaks volume. Then, like Blake said, number 5 would be Arkansas to me, just because right now, looking at the talent in the state of Arkansas right now for high school football, from a coaching perspective, I think you got to keep a lot of players in state to go to the University of Arkansas if you want to succeed a little bit more at the next level too at Arkansas if you're an Arkansas coach. Because as we see right now, there's some teams that are like undefeated, like Gosnell High School outside of Jonesboro, 9-0 on the year. So I think you just got to recruit the state of Arkansas a little bit more to keep the in-state talent on your roster if you're an Arkansas coach too.
It's a good point. It's a good point. So my list is a little bit different. I'm gonna go LSU number 1. I think it's it's the best open job right now. It's probably one of the top 5 jobs in all of college football. I mean, come on, folks. Let's just be honest. Baton Rouge runs off of bourbon and buyouts, obviously. And to Blake's point, talking about the governor, he wasn't. You could tell that rant or whatever you want to call it. There was a lot of passion in that, right? Well, within that passion was some things that were there were some inaccuracies. He didn't pay Jimbo Fisher's buyout. That wasn't on him. Also, per the LSU the press conference the very next day, the taxpayers in the state of Louisiana do not and have not and will not ever pay a coach's contract, which includes buyouts. Now, I do give him credit. He got a chance to name drop. It was a huge name. And maybe it'll help him in his political run that he has going on. But other than that, and him pretty much directly firing the athletic director, by the way, who is a Baton Rouge native, LSU alum, very similar to the Kevin Trainer move from the University of Arkansas. Not to the level, right? I mean, Kevin wasn't the AD. But I have to take LSU. Number 2, Florida. I think when you look at the swamp, you look at that stadium, you look at John's been there. John knows. Plus NIL. I mean, that's a cheat code for success. You just got to get somebody in there. Yeah, I mean, you just got to get somebody in there that can build it, or that can not just build it, but keep it going, keep it built. But you have to win the state of Florida in your schedule and in your recruiting class. Period. That really goes for any school in the state of Florida, but especially the University of Florida. Now, number 3, and really this 2 and 3 were very close for me, but number 3 is Penn State. I think when you look at this job, say what you want about Joe Paterno and the inner workings of the football program when he was the head coach, but you cannot tell me he was not a successful football coach. You cannot tell me he didn't win football games. You cannot tell me that football players that played for him, maybe even a vast majority of football players that played for him, became better men within the process, better husbands of playing for Joe Paterno and Penn State. Then you go look, Bill O'Brien. Look at what Bill O'Brien did before James Franklin walked in the door. That can't be, I mean, let's not get amnesia here. Bill O'Brien. Look at what Bill O'Brien's doing right now at Boston College, by the way. Just for a little bit of reference there. Look at the two. Stark difference, I promise you. Number 4 is tough because I don't think, well, I mean, really, I'm going to put Auburn there, but it's a almost tie in my mind between Auburn and Arkansas because I think these two jobs are very, very, very similar in a sense of, and I don't care, but both fan bases need to come to a reality that what happened in your program 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you can discuss it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be relived, literally. Tommy Tuberville's not walking back to the door. Bowden's not walking back to the door on the Plains. By the way, I do wish a coach would go back and dress like Terry Bowden back in the day when he coached at Auburn. That damn shirt and tie, that striped tie with the Auburn ball cap, man, that was just cool looking to me. Auburn and Arkansas, I think, are 4 and 5 for me. And then there's Oklahoma State. And I think Oklahoma State is really a diamond in the rough. Because let's be honest, guys. Mike Gundy was successful there the majority of his career, which stemmed over 20 seasons. I think you get a guy in there like a younger guy like a G.J. Kinney, a guy like a Eric Morris at North Texas. It doesn't necessarily have to be an offensive guy. It can even be a defensive guy. But I think there's fertile ground right there to really really do something there. But that's the CBD for Life coaching carousel. As a lot of these teams, a lot of these fans need to relax a little bit. If you do want to relax, head over to cbdforlife.com/4starsports for more information on great ways to keep your stress level down while remaining pain-free if you're in pain, anything like that, and you don't have the effects. Look, if you're catching a trend here, folks, there's Athletic Brewing, there's CBD for Life. We're big on the whole get the relaxation without the effect. So, as we talk coaching carousel, we kind of close this portion up. My last question is this: who's next? Now, obviously, I think Mike Locksley is. He's pretty much packed up, I assume. But John, I'll go to you, man. Who's the next coach, do you think, to be let go?
Coach, you just brought up my honest opinion. Coach Kenny might be on that hot seat now, man. I know they had a bye week this week, but man, what happened to that high-powered offense that you were supposed to bring this year to the Sun Belt? And then on top of that, you got 2 bad losses in a row where you blew 20-point leads, and the schedule doesn't get any easier for you. So I just think, I mean, I just don't see it, man. I mean, I like him to succeed at Texas State and then see what happens after that. But I'm not, if you're a Texas State Bobcat fan, you cannot be satisfied with the results the last couple of weeks in San Marcos, Texas.
Valid point there. Valid point. Blake, what about you, man?
Mine's probably, I think, the most obvious one, and that is it should be Stoops at Kentucky. I know he has a somewhat substantial buyout, and I know Kentucky's trying to save money for Mark Pope's NIL fund, and his $22 million team that loses to Georgetown at home, but they're trying to uh, Kentucky fans. Um, they have to see all these other coaches getting fired and wonder how come our coach has not got fired yet. I mean, I know it's a $30-something million buyout, but there's just no to me. There's no hope for Kentucky football with Stoops at the as the as a head coach. I mean, they're not very good offensively. Defensively, they're decent, but it's just I don't. I mean, he's had his chance, and a lot of these other schools they don't care what the buyout is. They're just pulling the trigger and letting coaches go. So to me, it should be Stoops, but I don't know.
Yes, to your point last week, why do you don't even know what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years? Because looking at Coach Kenny's contract, he just signed a 7-year deal till 2031 back in March, and now he's struggling in the Sun Belt where he hasn't won a conference game yet at all. So to your point regarding that a couple weeks ago, the day and age in college football, why are you signing coaches long term is beyond me.
This is a very good point. This is a very good point. Hey, man, let's jump on a plane real and let's head over to the Southwest Airlines scoreboard, where we take a quick flight across college football, across the nation, and look at scores from across the country. All right, let's start with the ACC. It's Friday night. We saw North Carolina sneak up on Syracuse, 27-10. I say sneak up just because I wouldn't expect them to win. Georgia Tech would drop a big game at NC State, 48-36. If you listened to Conference Crunch last week, you heard about that game. And you also heard about this game, SMU 26-20. Miami, first game outside of the state of Florida this year. They head over to Dallas and drop one in overtime to Miami. We talk about coaches that we think are going to be hacks next. I think it's Bill O'Brien at Boston College. They drop one to number 12 Notre Dame, 25-10. Virginia goes on the road, travels cross country, gets a big win, 31-21 over Cal. We saw Louisville continue to play well to number 16 in the country, go on the road to Virginia Tech, get a big, big win. Talked about Dabo Swinney earlier, feeling the pressure right now in Clemson. Fall 46-45 to Duke in an absolute wild football game. Pitt. Don't sleep on the Pitt Panthers to piss in somebody's Wheaties this year. I'm telling you, these guys are going to screw up some major stuff in the ACC if they continue winning. 35-20, go on the road, get a win at Stanford. And Florida State gets their first ACC win in 9 tries. Look, they may win 9, but by God, they may lose 9 straight. They're not losing 10 straight, folks. They're not doing it. Got a big win, 42-7 over Wake Forest. Very surprising win there. So as we look at the ACC, Blake, give me a game that stood out to you in Week 10.
There we go. There we go. We're good. Mine would be the Georgia Tech North Carolina State game. Just because at the end of the season, Georgia Tech has to play Georgia. And I think Georgia Tech fans and people that support Georgia Tech probably would like them to have been undefeated before that game, because if they lose to Georgia, then it's probably not that big of a deal. But now it has become a big deal because that would be their second loss if Georgia was to beat Georgia Tech. That's just that's the game that stood out to me. This is not a game that Georgia Tech could have afford to lose, and they got beat by 12 after being like 4 or 5 point favorite.
Yeah, and to your point on Georgia Tech, Blake, you go back and look at that Wake Forest game just a couple of weeks back, 2 or 3 weeks back. But that game in overtime could have very well lost on the road at Syracuse. And at Wake Forest. You talk about it. I just mentioned Pitt. They host Pitt the week before. They got to go play Georgia. It's an interesting matchup to end the season for Georgia Tech. John, what was your game in the ACC that stood out this week?
Mario Cristobal losing that one game a year, and this one was the SMU Ponies and the SMU Mustangs. The game was in overtime. You brought up 26-20. Carson Beck, 6 interceptions the last 3 ball games. To me, that doesn't put it together if you're a Miami Hurricane fan. And then also on top of that, you had 12 penalties in the game as well. So not a good game all the way around if you're a Miami Hurricane fan and player going forward. And I want to also give credit to Brett Lashley signing that new contract extension the day of the game, and just the way he handled that the last couple of days as well. So credit the SMU program on a good win at home.
Yeah, it's a big win. I mean, for Rhett to go sign that, it's another case that's being checked off the list. Man, I got to go to Death Valley, and I'm not talking about the one in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm talking about the one in Clemson. At Clemson, 46-45. Duke moves to 5-3 on the year. Clemson falls to 3-5 on the season. That game stood out to me. It stood out to me because of Clemson, not Duke. How do you lose that ball game? And we're going to talk about another conference here in a second that featured the same situation. Let's go ahead and jump over to the SEC real quick, as there was a good number of games. We'll start with the largest cocktail party, responsibly, obviously, right? For Florida and Georgia, number 5, Georgia Bulldogs. John, they eked one out, 24-20 over the Gators. We saw Ole Miss get a win 30. They did. Hey, here's the thing, man. Good coaches win, great coaches cover. That's the thing. All right. South Carolina will go on the road to number 7 Ole Miss and fall 30-14. In Oxford, we saw number 9 Vanderbilt go on the road and a 12-round fight with Texas, even though there was a very questionable call with a 2-point conversion in that game. 31-34. Big win for Sark and the Texas Longhorns. As guys, I don't know if you've looked, but Arch Manning is like quietly getting crapped on and then quietly having a really good season all at the same time. Mississippi State, Arkansas. Arkansas had this game won. Blake, I want to ask about this game.
Yeah.
And I promise you I'm not piling on when I ask this question. Can Arkansas fire an interim coach? Is that possible? I'm just curious. And when I ask that question, I'm not being a smart ass. What I'm saying is it's another one-score loss. This is the exact thing that Hunter Yurachek said specifically was a reason he fired Sam Pittman. A specific reason as to why he fired him was he had to be, quote, held accountable for his one-score losses. Bob Petrino is doing the same thing, and this game was just completely undisciplined play by Arkansas. 18 penalties, program record. 193 yards, also a program record. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory, Blake. I think these penalties cost Arkansas the game. But sorry, can Arkansas fire Bobby Petrino?
I mean, you only got 3 games left. I mean, you might as well just keep doing what you're doing and go out. Because I mean, no one knows who's making decisions up there on the Hill, because Hunter Yurachek thinks he is, but the board of trustees think they are, and you got sources saying Hunter's out, but Hunter still has the job. So I just think you've already fired your whole defensive staff basically, and you have a ragtag group of defensive coaches just try to just go out and compete and try to ruin Texas season, after the bye week and just go. The good thing is we know Bobby Petrino should not be the head coach of the Hogs. I mean, I think people can clearly see that. But to your point, that's what this team is known for is one score losses. That's still technically Pittman's team. It's his players and whatnot. So that's just the DNA of the players.
Yeah, I see your point there, especially with the 3 games remaining. I mean, I get that. You got a bye
Mhm.
week this week. You go on the road to LSU. After that, it's a tough road environment. Another odd one there because you got interim versus interim, as you'll have, Brian Kelly's no longer the head coach
Yeah.
there at LSU. Oklahoma went on the road in a big time environment, dark mode. By the way, those uniforms are badass, man. The entire tee and how they do it, where they black out everything around the tee, and there's
Mhm.
it's just so clean by Tennessee. Kudos to them and their staff, their field staff, because they make that a whole damn show, man. It's cool to watch. But Oklahoma walked into Neyland and got a win 33-27 over the number 14 ranked Balls in what I think is an ifto facto you're out of the tournament though game, as Tennessee probably is looking on the outside of they're going to be on the outside shaking the cage because I don't think they make it. And then Auburn, it's this crazy game. If you're an offensive fan, don't watch this replay. By the way, um, if you're a fan of football, I wouldn't watch this replay. 10-3 in a freaking barn burner in the Plains, as that's the game that got Hugh Freeze walked out the dough. All right, let's jump over to the Big Ten real quick, John, as we saw Ohio State get a win 38-14 as the top ranked Buckeyes continue to win, and convincingly for that matter. Big win there. Number 2, Indiana. Yes, folks, I did say that. Number 2, Indiana, and this ain't your grandpa's Indiana. 55-10 over Maryland. Possibly could have Mike Locksley fired. 16-21 as Michigan eked out a win over Purdue. Hey, the freaking fighting Barry Odoms. Telling you, man, this team's been kind of fun to kind of follow, keep up with this year. They fight really, really well. Oh, Matt Rule, man, you sign a nice contract extension for 2032. You have a beautiful in there. I mean, I've read the contract, but anyway, he has a clause in that contract that says he gets an extra $1 million for every year he makes the college football playoff, up to 16 teams. I don't know if y'all heard that. Up to 6. We're only at 12 right now, folks. Nebraska is putting clauses in to coach contracts. It says, hey, we know it's going to expand again, but look, we're not going to pay you $1 million if they take this thing to 24 teams, because then you would just be a top 25 head coach. But, and think about it, if they turn this thing to 24 teams in 2032, this man's going to have maybe making like $30 million a year if he makes the playoffs all the time. So very smart by Nebraska, but didn't matter. Matt Rule lost. This team has not won a top 25 football game. John, I know you and I talked about this. A win by Nebraska Saturday would have given them their second back-to-back winning season since 2013-2014. That was the last year of Bo Pelini. But USC walked in there and peed all in their Wheaties, 21-17. Big win on the road. Illinois, the fighting, I don't know why I keep putting the R in there. The fighting Brett Bielema's and 35-13 over Rutgers. And row the damn boat. Michigan and PJ Fleck. That's a name you're going to hear in this coaching carousel, I promise you. PJ Fleck and the Gophers got to win 23-20. All right, Blake, what game stood out to you this week in the ACC?
I mean, the
Big Ten.
Big Ten.
Sorry, Big Ten. My bad.
Yeah,
I was
no,
looking
you're
at
good.
notes and said that.
No, you're good. For me, it had to be USC and Nebraska, like you said, Rule coming off that extension, blackout. I mean, heck of an atmosphere is what you want for a college football game. And unfortunately, the quarterback has an injury, is out for season, and they lose to USC. And, I'm looking at the Nebraska schedule. I mean, they got UCLA, they got Penn State, and Iowa. I do believe last three games. I mean, there's a chance that they they could lose all three. I mean, they could with Patrick I mean Dylan Raiola out, and so your 6-6 potential coach just signed a contract extension. So I mean, I don't. I have question. I know Nebraska's been down, and you can see the progression, but and I know he was tied to Penn State. I get all that, but I'm confused on that contract extension, and for them to go out and lose with the blackout, everything. It's just that's a game that stood out to me.
So I think, and to your point, I initially I was like, whoa, why did they just do this, right? But Nebraska has not had a head coach leave for another position since 1957. That football coach left to go to Cal, and at the time he was making, I think it was like $20,000 a year in 1957.
Yeah.
Since then, every football coach has either retired, aka Tom Osborne, or been fired. So I think when you look at Nebraska, I think they wanted to build the stability and the continuity within the program to lock him up and say, okay, hey, we've got somebody here. This guy's a good coach. He's a proven winner. He's got every facility he needs. He's got one of the most rabid fan bases in all of college athletics. I mean, they're filling that place for football games and volleyball games, by the way. I just think that's why they pulled the trigger and made the move. I don't know if that makes any sense, Blake, but I just
Oh yeah,
in my
it
mind it
does.
does anyway. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, especially when he was tied to some of these other job openings, and I mean he's been known to build. He built Temple for a couple years, and he tried the NFL out. Obviously, that did not work. But I mean, I see the potential there. You know, I hope it works out for him because to me, Nebraska and Arkansas, like they're kind of similar in that you know there's one major college in the state and whatnot. So, but
Good point. It's a good point. John, what game stood out to you in the Big Ten?
Well, Blake stole mine, so I was going to keep that one. I was going to say a key stat in that game. I think the difference in that game where Southern Cal was 8 or 23 passing, and then they were like, okay, we're just going to start running the football to our advantage. It's helped us out the last two ball games. They had 200 plus rushing yards against Nebraska's front. So, and the cold weather on top of that. So for Lincoln Riley to go in that hustle environment like you just brought up, I think it's a huge win, not only for him but also the Southern Cal football team.
and I got a question for y'all. Is Southern Cal ranked 20th based off of name alone, or do you think they're actually like? I mean, I've watched a lot of football, and like USC just does not stand out to me as a top team.
Yeah, I mean, you lost 34-32 to Illinois, close game. You lost 34-24 to Notre Dame. Other than that, I mean, probably their biggest win is probably Michigan, right? At home, just what 2 weeks ago. But I mean, you look at the back end of their schedule. They got Northwestern coming up, then they got Iowa, then they go to Oregon, then they host UCLA to close the year. To your point, Blake, there's not a lot of convincing wins on this schedule. They started out with Missouri State, Georgia Southern, Purdue, and then they got into conference play, right? Um, I mean, I think when you look at their wins plus other teams' losses, that's probably why they're where
Yeah.
they are. Just if the factor, okay, they continue to win, these two teams are dropping, they're losing. They just kind of worked their way into the poll.
Agreed with West 100% on that one.
All right, let's go Big 12 as we go no huddle here. Texas Tech number 13 gets a big win on the road, 43-20 over Kansas State. Utah, massive win at home over number 17 Cincinnati, 45-14. Houston stumbles, drops one at home to West Virginia, 45-35. Baylor, convincing win over Scott Frost and the UCF Black Knights. That is 30-3 over the UCF. Over UCF. Arizona State goes on the road, gets a big win 24-19 over Iowa State. Kansas, big win for Kansas, but 38-21 over Oklahoma State. And Arizona goes on the road and Colorado must have the softest ass in the country because they've been getting spanked by everybody. 52-17 by Arizona. All right, Blake, quickly, what game stood
Mhm.
out to you?
Just real quickly, it's Arizona State, Iowa State with the backup quarterback. They were a 8.5 point underdog to Iowa State. They go in and get a win with Jeff Sims setting the rushing record for quarterbacks in a game or something like that. But shout out to the fighting Kenny Dillinghams. His name's been mentioned in the coaching carousel, but I don't think he's leaving. He's he is at home. That's what some people don't realize. That's his school. But that was a game that stood out to me. Just the fight that they showed.
Blake,
It's a great point right there. John, what about you, man?
good pick.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, Arizona State's backup quarterback, like you said, ran over 200 plus rushing yards in that department. But great win for Coach Dillingham on the road. I'm gonna go Utah 45, Cincinnati 14. I think Utah kind of made like a statement and said, "Don't forget about us," because Cincinnati and BYU were probably the top two. A lot of people have been talking about the last couple weeks, and Utah just made a statement on defense. And I think with the mobile quarterback that Cincinnati has, I think Utah's defense kind of showed me how impressive they actually are on defense in this game. So credit Utah Utes and Coach Willingham.
It's a great point. That's a great point, man. Yeah, I tell you what, Utah. I know Willingham's kind of on the back end of that, but we also can't forget about the potential of some coaches retiring across the country and additional positions coming up. And I'm going to go down to Houston, Texas. So, like I said, the Cougars fell. They're now 7-2 on the year. West Virginia improves to 3-6 on the year. And I want to talk about one stat. Rich Rod, boy, he just went back to the old Tavon Austin days of West Virginia. A little bit of Geno Smith back in the day of West Virginia. Some of you young bucks don't even know Geno Smith played at West Virginia. 246 yards on 53 rushing attempts, boys. That is saying, you know what? I'm going to run the football and your ass better stop it because if you don't, we're going to keep on doing it. 53 rushing attempts for West Virginia in the win. Impressive win. Very impressive win for West Virginia. All right, John, let's go to the American, man. As had a bunch of games. We saw Thursday night UTSA. Guys, get this stat. UTSA is now 23-0 at home in American Conference games since Jeff Traylor's been there. So for anybody who thought this Tulane win was a fluke, or maybe wondering if another defensive back is giving out play, maybe the quarterback's getting more plays from another defensive back across the country. This is not the case. This team's just really freaking good at home. They're now 22-4 at home since 2020. It's impressive stuff from UTSA. Big win, 48-26 over Tulane. Then we saw the Memphis Tigers go on the road, get a big win, 38-14. Top 25, number 25 Tigers got a win on Friday night, spooky win. Ooh. 38-14 down in Houston against Rice. UConn 38-19 over UAB. Army goes on the road, gets a big win at Air Force 20-17. North Texas, man, got the belt to ass 31-17 over Eric Morris and the Navy. I'm sorry, over uh, the Navy midshipmen. As Eric Morris, big win right there for North Texas. As that brings up a couple other topics anyway. East Carolina, I'm telling you, all you Memphis fans out there, you laugh at me when I said this East Carolina road game is going to be difficult. East Carolina goes on the road, gets a big win, 45-14 over the Temple. Whoo! Owls. John, what game stood out to you in the American this week?
First of all, 31-33 passing for the UTSA quarterback too. Wow, pretty impressive. Yeah. North Texas 31, Navy 17. I think a lot of people who bets on college football probably picked the over on that. But I like how Texas controlled the clock in that game and made a statement at home and didn't. And I know Navy outgained them 300 plus rushing yards, and whatnot. But huge win for the Denton, Texas, North Texas Mean Green, especially right now how the American is shaking out, where some people got North Texas as a 12 seed, some people got Memphis as a 12 seed. So it'll be fun to watch the next couple weeks.
No doubt. Blake, what about you?
Yeah, my game that stood out was UTSA and Tulane. Tulane just laid an egg, but like you said, Wes, UTSA is hard to beat at home. I know people that don't really pay attention to football just see that Tulane's been pretty good the past couple of years, and uh, U, UTSA they were good last year. They kind of struggled a little bit this year, but for them to just dominate like that was you know kind of a surprise. I put a little money on UTSA, but I did not expect them to just dominate like that.
And then John Summerall's post
Yeah,
game
Cade
comments
McCown, man,
regarding the crowd noise.
31-33. Yeah, oh yeah. Well, that's what I was just about to bring up. So Cade McCown, 31-33. And during the week, John Summerall, head coach of Tulane, who I believe could very well be the next head coach at Auburn, LSU, or even possibly Arkansas. Proven winner. If you can win at Troy, by God, you can win anywhere. But during the week, he made the assumption, made the comment that UTSA had been piping in crowd noise through their speakers, and he made the statement that he's pretty sure this is not legal, right? In other words, saying, "Hey, these guys have been breaking the rules all this time. This stadium's really not what everyone makes it out to be." And then in pregame, they were interviewing Jake Retzloff, the quarterback of Tulane. He made a statement of, "Hey, I'm 1-0 in this stadium. Something's got to give, and it's not going to be me." By the way, in case y'all didn't know, Jake Retzloff was benched in that game after throwing not one pick, but 2 picks in the game and looked horrible as a quarterback. And as I've stated all year long, the kid's never really done anything to impress me. But Jeff Traylor, another name to keep an eye on in this coaching carousel, was very, very open and transparent following the game. Said his team felt disrespected. Said that he personally reached out to John Summerall. They discussed it. They had a conversation about it, and they had, patched things up, whatever. But very interesting stuff. A little bit of gamesmanship attempting to be shown from Tulane. I got to go with Army, man. 4-4 on the year now. Yes, I understand Air Force is now 2-6, right? But this is a game that has so much more meaning to it than just football. It's part of the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. And I really expected more running yards, guys. Army had 295 yards on the day. Air Force had 335. 13 of 18 passing for Air Force for 161 yards. Army went 5 of 9 passing for 102. 45 rushing attempts for Army for 193 yards and 50 for Air Force. Who would have thought that in week 10 of college football, you would see Army and Air Force have less rushing attempts than West Virginia? If you thought that, I got some ocean property right here in Fayetteville, Arkansas that you can buy for a hell of a cheap price. That's my game of the American for the week. Fun to watch those two teams battle out. All right, let's go over the Conference USA real quick. We saw Kennesaw State get a big win Thursday night, 33-20 Tuesday night, 33-20 over UTEP. Wednesday night, we saw Jacksonville State head to MTSU for one of the most raucous crowds I've ever seen in my life. That is total sarcasm. There may have been 20 people there. Jacksonville State goes on the road 24-21, big-time win on the road. FIU goes on the road to Missouri State. Missouri State holds on 28-21. Louisiana Tech knocks off Sam Houston State on Halloween night, 55-14. Then yesterday we saw Liberty host Delaware, the Blue Hens, and get a win 59-30. And we saw Western Kentucky host New Mexico State and get a win 35-16. John, what stood out to you this week in CUSA?
Talking about trap games, Jacksonville State prevailed against Middle Tennessee 24-21 in front of 10,200 people. The next 2 weeks, I think, are trap games for Jacksonville State. One, like I said, this past week against Middle, and then now you got UTEP at UTEP. And if you want to be bowl eligible, you still got to have some good wins if you still want to be at Jacksonville. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Jacksonville State goes forward. I think me and you talked off camera in the offseason that Jacksonville State could very well win 8 games this year, and the goal is 8 wins in the Conference USA. And I think 8 wins is a good season for Jacksonville State if they can get the 8-win mark in general.
All right, Blake, what about you?
I just want to speak on the Middle Tennessee State game. I follow this guy on TikTok. He's the PA for him, Chris Freeman, I believe, and like just
You know that guy?
I don't know him. I just watch him on TikTok.
okay.
He goes live on
Okay.
TikTok during the game, and it's fun just to hear the little conversations they have up there in the press box. But he's also the Vandy basketball PA announcer too. But anyways, my game is the Kennesaw State UTEP game. Kennesaw State started the season 0-2, 6 straight wins to get bowl eligible. You know, last year when NCAA football came out, everyone was like, which team do you want to rebuild with? And everyone was picking Kennesaw State because some people think they were the, maybe the worst team in the NCAA, but shout out to them. They're going bowling. No matter where it's at, they will be going to a bowl game. So, again, starting off 0-2, 6 straight wins against a kind of down UTEP team, but that's my game of the week.
Yeah, to your point, man, big time win Tuesday night for Kennesaw State. Jerry Mack, hell of a head football coach, came over from North Carolina A&T. If you've done any research on that, that was a very odd departure there. But comes over to Kennesaw State, really done a really good job of building a new culture there for the Owls. And Kennesaw State, to your point, Blake, going bowling, 6 straight wins. Big time win for Kennesaw State. I got to go to MTSU and Jacksonville State, and it's not for the win. It's more for the loss. Come on, MTSU. Come on. I mean, your strobe lights would cause people to have seizures when your team's running out on the field. Literally. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched that. Their strobe lights, it's like that's a haunted house on steroids. Those things are going nuts. And then you look at the crowd, and no lie, it reminded me of the I can't remember what year it was. Probably like Rip Shears, one of his last years. But they were playing East Carolina. It was a rain game. It was homecoming, and there may have been 12 people at that game. That's what that crowd reminded me of when you watched MTSU running on the field. Now you talk about somebody that needs to pipe in crowd noise. There you go. There you go. Pipe that sucker in there and make it sound like the Super Bowl or something. That would really freak people out. You hear this loud ass cheer and there's 12 people there. But no, and speaking of the PA guy, he's a former guest of the show. He's come on a couple times with us and does a really good job. Like, yeah, very, very talented is he. All right, let's go over to final conference of the night, and that's the Sun Belt as we finish up the Southwest Airlines scoreboard. James Madison went on the road, got a big win, 52-20. Bob Chesney, keep an eye on that name. Coastal got a big win, 45-27, as they hosted Marshall. Old Dominion went on the road down to ULM. Boy, I really had a lot of hope for the ULM this year, but 31-6, bad look for ULM at home. Louisiana went on the road, got a big win, 31-22 over a stingy Southern Alabama team, and Arkansas State. They just hang around like a fart, boy. Arkansas State 23-10 over a hot Troy team. Hot Troy won like 6 straight games, 4 straight games, 5 straight games coming into that game. Big time road win for Arkansas State. John, what game stood out to you in the Sun Belt?
Brick by brick, Bud Jones beating Troy 23-10. A statement win, I might add, for Arkansas State too. I know the rushing defense stood out. Troy had 21 yards rushing in that game. So credit Bud Jones and credit them, man. Jonesboro should be fun this Saturday at 11 a.m. on the ESPN networks because Coach Huff and Southern Miss will go for win number 7, or is Bud Jones going to be bowl eligible for the 5th year in a row and finds a way to be bowl eligible for Arkansas State? So Saturday morning in Jonesboro will be fun to watch.
That's a good point, man. It's good. Look at John sliding in his game that he's got. Look at John. He's like a segment up, but I got no problem with it. It's fine. That's fine. I like it. Blake, what game stood out to you in the in Conference USA? And then if you want to,
Sunbelt.
or in Sunbelt, sorry, if you want to, you can just tell me what your game you're looking forward to this coming up week. Because John just nailed that one. Go ahead.
Yeah, just going back to Arkansas State. You know, they were 7.5-point underdogs and go up 17-0 in the first quarter. I mean, just show and 9 sacks on the day. So it was again good win by brick, Mr. Butch Jones there. Mine would be, like you said, the Monroe Warhawks. Just a very, very disappointing season so far. I mean, they can still make a bowl, but they got to win the rest of their games. You know, I worry about I was worried about the Warhawks because I'm very close to Monroe, and the support and facilities are not probably up to par as the rest of the Sun Belt. So I wish that university would put in some more money into that football program because it can really thrive. There's a lot of talent in Monroe, West Monroe, Southern Arkansas area. You know, East Texas. I mean, it can really thrive, but it sucks to see them 3-6 right now.
It's a great point on Louisiana Monroe. That's really a diamond in the rough. I was down there in 2019, probably the hottest football game I've ever been to in my entire life. When Memphis played them down there. And look, folks, you don't get it. Every time you go to a Louisiana Monroe game, they have freaking Johnny's Pizza. And when I tell you something, when I tell you that Johnny's Pizza is some of the best pizza you can put in your mouth, as a pizza connoisseur from across this country, by the way, I've ate pizza from all the way across this country. Johnny's Pizza is some of the best pizza you can put in your mouth. They got the cheese sticks with the breadsticks with the cheese sauce. They got a sweep the swamp. It's got Cajun crawfish on stuff on it. Oh my god! I'm telling you, Blake can probably attest to this. I'm sure Blake's had Johnny's Pizza sometime in his life. Matter of fact, I know he has. He lived in Cross.
Yeah, I've had it, man.
I was gonna say, hold on. I know he has. He lived in
I've
Cross.
heard
So Johnny's is one of the best pizza places in the country. Go ahead, Blake.
It was sitting out at least 10 hours after a game. We was coaching. You know, they feed us before the game, and we didn't care. If we got food poisoning, we did not care. Okay, because it's damn good pizza.
And we're not talking about damn good pies. That's a different restaurant. It's not what we're talking about. Telling you, John, you want some good pizza? Drive about 5 hours south down to Crosswood, Arkansas, to a place called Johnny's Pizza. It's worth 5 hours. I promise you. It's worth 5 hours. My game of the week has got to be. I mean, now, so to your point, John, Blake, you mentioned the sacks. It's a program record for Arkansas State, by the way, 9 sacks in a game. James Madison, though. Big win on the road. John talked about G.J. Kinney earlier and how his seat could be beginning to become a little lukewarm. They're now 3-5 on the year, 52-20 loss to James Madison. James Madison 7-1 on the year as Barnett would account for 5 touchdowns. 6 straight win on the year for James Madison. Big time win for the Dukes. All right, Blake, what is your game? What is one game on the schedule for this upcoming week that you've got your eye on? John's already given us his, so this works out great.
Well, as always, I'll kind of stick with the SEC. That's going to be Mizzou and Texas A&M. It's 2:30 kickoff. It's a very important game for Mizzou to kind of keep their playoff hopes alive, and then Texas A&M, they have that perfect season going on right now, so it's a big game in the SEC. You know, especially with Texas A&M, they got Texas coming up at the end of the year. They got Mizzou, so it could be. It's kind of like last year. Texas A&M was really good until the end, and they kind of fell off a little bit. So that's the game I'm looking forward to the most.
Mine's got to
You're wrong
be
about mine.
Friday night game. What'd you say?
So you're wrong about mine, but go ahead.
Okay.
Oh.
Friday night. I hope I don't take John here. Friday night, 8 p.m. Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Memphis and Tulane. You can call me a homer. I don't give a shit. That's one of the biggest games in college football this weekend. That game has CFP potential all over it. It is smeared in college football playoff. John, I'm looking forward to that football game. It's going to be fun. I'll have the house myself. My wife will be out of town. It'll be me and the pups. I will technically be working that night. I'm gonna make me a little cheese dip, have me some little sliders. I'm not gonna have any athletic because I got to work, but I'm looking forward to it. John, what is your game? Now this is gonna be good because I know John's got a doozy right here for us. He's just been holding it. Go ahead, John.
First of all, I hope there's a great crowd at Simmons Bank Stadium. I know Friday night, 8 o'clock is just a brutal time slot. But again, there's high school football playoffs going on, first week of playoffs. I just hope there's a great crowd. And if you cannot get rid of the tickets, please sell them to somebody or get rid of them somehow, some way, if you got to. No, it's what College Game Day said, guys. Lubbock, Texas, and good old Texas Tech hosting BYU. I think this game could be a shootout in some types of ways. You know, Texas Tech always finds a way to have a shootout one game a year with a Big 12 opponent. And I think if you're a college football fan, who wouldn't want to watch Texas Tech BYU at 11 a.m. on ABC as well? So BYU Texas Tech, if you got the over and under on that one, it's 53.5. So I think you might want to go the over on that one. But although Texas Tech is favored by 10 in that game, but that'd be a fun game to watch at 11 a.m. College Game Day, go in there.
Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, let's jump over to the SeatGeek Sports Moment of the Week. As we look back over college athletics and we find our favorite moment from the week. John, I'll start with you, man. What's your SeatGeek moment of the week? But hold on, John. Before we get started, I got to say, if you need tickets for anything, sporting events, whatever, head over to SeatGeek now. Find you any ticket, $50 or more. That is total ticket price, $50 or more. Type in promo code 4 Star Sports Media, all capital letters. It'll save you $20 off your first ticket purchase. Sorry, John. I had to get the plug in there. You understand? Go ahead.
Like, it's hard to see, but Mississippi State getting their first conference win and so many tries going into Fayetteville. Mississippi State beating Arkansas. I think it's a good win for Jeff Lebby. I know a lot of people are saying, well, Jeff Lebby's seat was probably going to be a little bit hot if he lost this game. But man, it's year 2 in Jeff Lebby. You can't fire a guy after 2 seasons. So credit all the Mississippi State fans that traveled to Fayetteville too, because it looked like they had a good turnout. So greatest moment of the week was Jeff Lebby and the Mississippi State Bulldogs going to Fayetteville.
I wasn't expecting that one. That one threw me. That one threw me off a little bit. Mine is NC State, and they were fined $50,000 today by the ACC, them and SMU, for storming the field. But as I mentioned last week, Dave Dorn has a knack for just pissing in somebody's season, pissing in somebody's Wheaties somewhere along the way, and he did it. He got him. That's big time win. And the ACC is just owning chaos right now in college football. As you see, that is the sixth Ford Field storm of the year in the ACC. By the way, folks, wild stuff. Blake, what about you?
Mine would just have to be me. Just listening games on the radio was, I mean, it's something I did when I was a teenager because not every game was on TV then, and you had to like find the game or find a legal stream and whatnot. So it was just kind of cool to just kind of find a game on the radio, and also the night game atmospheres at Tennessee and Nebraska was. I would put the college football atmospheres against any other sport. The overseas soccer leagues, they're pretty good with their atmospheres, but just the atmospheres there. And also, it's good to see Bobby Trino get that unsportsmanlike penalty. Old vintage Bobby right there.
It was definitely vintage Bobby, and that actually leads us into our Fanatics Final Play, which is the final segment of the show. Once again, we appreciate everyone watching. Listen, we've had nice viewership tonight. We've been going a little over an hour. It's a little bit long. It's okay. It happens to the best of us. Fanatics Final Play, and this is where I will ask the question. John, Blake, we see interim coaches. We see DJ Durkin be named the interim coach at Auburn, and it just kind of jogged me a little bit because I feel like as not fans, but as universities, presidents, athletic directors, a lot of people forget about what coaches have done in their past. I mean, you look at Bobby Petrino, the scandal that happened up here in Fayetteville in 12. You look at DJ Durkin, what happened at Maryland. I'll let you Google that. I'm not going to speak on it. But you look around the country and you look at these coaches that are now being put in the potential head coach position. I would assume DJ Durkin will be possibly a candidate for the Auburn job. He has been head coach before, so it does make sense. But why have we – I mean, think about Hugh Freeze, for example. What happened with burner phones and Ole Miss? Did Hugh's time at Liberty it doesn't take away what happened, right? I understand that. But you look at what Hugh Freeze did, you look at Bob Petrino, you look at DJ Durkin, you look around the country, other places, you look at other sports across the country, you look at softball, for example. We've documented things that have happened there. And then you look at Landry getting involved at LSU. My question is this as we close the show. Are we losing ethics in college football or college athletics for wins? I talked about this a few weeks ago on an episode talking about John Mateer, but Blake, what's your thoughts on this question?
I mean, for being honest, a lot of coaches have things in their past that's probably not the best. Also, if if you're winning and the university's making ticket sales and everything else, I think those presidents and board of trustees really don't care what happened in your past. And that's just kind of the world we live in right now, where you could have done some bad things in the past, but as long as you're helping me out right now, that's all that matters.
What have you done for me lately? Is what it sounds like to me, he's saying there, John. What's your thoughts?
Kind of agree with Blake, but I'll be honest with you, I'd rather not comment on it because I got people in this field that we can't talk about on camera. But yeah, I just want to leave it at that.
Okay. As we close, man, appreciate everyone watching, listening. Week 10's in the books too. At least one coach is new to the unemployment line. The carousel is in warp speed. Hit the like button, turn on notifications. We'll be back next Sunday for another episode of Conference Crunch. But hit those notifications, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Not just us here at Conference Crunch. You got Blake Hogue down there on the screen. He hosts Hogs Happy Hour, a incredible job talking all things Arkansas Razorbacks. He's got a basketball season that I know all Hog fans are looking forward to.
Starts tomorrow, by the way.
Possibly 2 basketball seasons, men and women, as surprising as that is up here on the hill. Then you got John Sturdivant over there that talks inside the lines. He talks high school sports there in the Memphis area as well as national sports stories as well. Does an incredible job with that show. He'll be back this week. We'll be back with Tigers Den, coverage of all things Memphis Tigers and more. But for Conference Crunch, we appreciate everyone watching and listening. We appreciate you joining us as we crunch college athletics right here on the 4 Star Sports Media Network. As always, folks, stay classy.